And then I'll pop out the chat so we can see it a little bit better. Okay, so let me pop out the chat. There we go. And move this side. Oops, that's not what I want to do. There we go. And we want it to be live chat. There we go. So people should be seeing in a moment that we are live.
If it's too cold, you can close that door.
Morning, Renna.
Hi, Renna.
There we go. Just bringing my, I'm just going to move this chat a little bit to make sure I'm not half off screen. Yeah, I'm not. Okay. Just getting ourselves somewhat, oh.
What?
I need to grab my projects. I put them on my rollator and then I set things up. And
I'll get it.
well, it's not out there. I need to actually go and get the rollator.
What are you up to, Renna? Are you eating breakfast?
Mm.
Need scissors instead of teeth for this. What are you drinking today?
Is it big enough for?
Yeah, I was just trying to see. Already ate. Had coffee.
Now she's thinking about a cup of tea.
That's all right, Renna. I forgive you. Tea is good. Tea is very good.
Okay. I want to pour my cup of tea.
I think I should have put a little more tea to water in this.
Well, you'll get the right amount.
See my Sherlock Holmes cup that I got for Christmas? The Fataya gave it to me.
Coffee is good too.
Nasty stuff. I'm having Nutella. It's a decaf. I should have probably had a caffeine.
I was going to say, that was poor planning.
Nah, I wanted that.
I'm having the little gray cells.
I thought about doing that.
Loves the Sherlock mug.
Thank you.
What does it say on the skull?
I don't know.
Okay, mediocrity knows nothing higher than itself, but talent instantly recognizes genius.
That's an interesting quote. Not sure I agree with it completely.
It probably
I agree
is.
with the mediocrity part.
My guess is it's probably actually something Holmes said, or that was
yeah.
a quote from the book, because that's very book-centric.
Oh, I have no doubt it is.
Like here.
Yeah, I should have had a little more tea in here. But it'll be fine. Yesterday it was fantastic in this mug.
Well, it also might just sit a little bit.
And
I can't remember how well that one re-steeps.
I don't know, but it was a lot stronger last time I did, so I must have had to just put in more.
Okay.
Having this droop because I'm hungry.
I need my tea because I'm kind of tired.
You're always kind of tired. Renna, have you had a chance to visit Adagio?
Oh, and for people who either are about to come on or whatever, today is our open to everybody.
It's our quarterly.
It's our quarterly open to everybody live stream.
I wonder if I did put sugar in here. I thought I did.
Oh, that would do it.
I thought I did, though. I'm pretty sure I did.
She hasn't yet, but with the holidays passed.
Yeah. It's a nice place.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. Yeah, now you'll have more time to check it out.
You can win things there. Not necessarily physical items, but well, you can that too.
Well,
But
you can that too.
but-
You can garner points to.
I won 10 new points for a picture with this mug, for community. Hi Pat, how you doing?
Morning, Pat.
Morning, Brittany.
Oh, hi, Brittany. Mom, just so you know, you're half on your spoon. There you go. I feel like there's hair that keeps trying to get underneath my brace. I don't know why I'm so tired today because I went to bed at a decent time yesterday.
It's the rain, the weather.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I was in a lot of pain today when I got up.
Darn that weather. Blame it on the rain. Oh no, 30s in Florida.
Frozen weather. She's going to turn into a snowman.
Mm-hmm.
No, she's going to turn into a snow stone. No moss on her stone. Rolling stones carry. That's a heat wave for us sometimes.
At least during the deeper in the winter.
You're doing another cruise? I guess you must have mentioned it sometime.
Yeah, of course she is. He found another sail or something.
If they plan it right, they don't have to buy groceries. They don't have to pay electricity. They just go from cruise to cruise to cruise.
It's part of the brilliance. 12 days.
That's
only
not bad.
400 person.
It sounds very similar to one you mentioned before, unless this was the one you mentioned and I just forgot.
Right.
Yeah.
Or it could be that he's just that good at hunting down deals that he's consistently managing to find the.
So that's really not bad.
Well, like you said, especially since that includes
12 days.
Food and drinks and everything. And from my
You
understanding,
can't get a hotel for that.
and that's without the hotel providing like amazing food and drinks and everything.
I'm bobbing along on the beautiful briny sea.
That part I could do without.
That's why I remember that.
Oh, okay.
Is that the third one then, or is this another one?
Yeah, because for some reason
I thought they shared did 3.
I lose track of all your cruises, Pat.
Last one.
Okay.
Until I find another one. Valentine's Day.
Have every faith in him.
Valentine's Day. Hi, Margaret.
This is number 66.
Wow. We like to have you however long you can stay, Margaret. Must be nice if you can go golfing.
Yeah, because that's not really something you want to do out in the cold. That would be
golfers go anywhere. Present company excluded golfers are a little bit crazy.
You mean like the ones who thought traffic stopped for them in England?
Yes.
It was their golf course. We were just driving on it.
Yep. Mid-50s, nice.
I think that probably is a pretty comfortable temperature for golfing.
Yeah, you can wear your sweaters and you know you get a little warm with the walking and the swinging and all that.
You want to add some water too.
No water down here, but I don't want to mix them because this is weak enough as it is. Yeah. I'm always. Do you carry your own clubs or do you have a caddy for that?
I would think the caddy would probably cost extra, right?
I guess I would assume so, unless it's I don't know anything about golfing or clubs, but maybe if you have a membership, it's included if you want it.
Just 9 holes.
Oh, okay, so it's okay.
I would wonder if it would be now. Granted, because I've never gone golfing, I wonder if it's a bit awkward. Like if you don't know the caddy, you just have this like random person like going all over the golf course with you.
Well, if you don't know to begin with, you know it afterwards.
If you're someone like me who doesn't do very well with small talk, that's like the most awkward thing ever.
We practice.
I think I would end up just being like, okay, I'm only gonna be doing 9 holes.
Do you have wheels on your bag, or do you just shoulder it?
I didn't know there were bags like that have wheels.
Yeah.
I would think that the train wouldn't allow for it.
They're not really bumpy on the golf course itself, I don't think.
No caddies, and of course, just carts.
Just
You see, carts are good.
Yeah.
Don't have to have small talk with carts.
This is the driver.
Well, you drive your own cart.
Not necessarily.
Why wouldn't you?
I don't know. People don't.
That's part of the fun is driving your own.
I got a question for you guys. And I'll ask it on the podcast on Monday too, but we have like a plethora of these sample tins, for the tea. Can you see, like, they're real pretty. They have stuff, some of they're from fandoms, right? What I'm wondering is if we clean these out, and would you guys like to have them go out with prizes and things for stitch markers and that kind of stuff? It would be empty, but would you like to have something like that for stitch markers and other odds and ends? It won't fit your scissors, but it will fit like.
Well, it depends what scissors. If you get the foldable nit pick scissors, I have a pair. They fit.
Oh, you do? Okay. Okay,
Let me go and get that because that's
what?
It might be medicine. Don't get it, Devan. Don't.
And if it's what's her name? Tell her we can't talk right now.
Okay. You don't want this.
Our doorbell rang. We can't put our doorbell on fax, unfortunately. I don't know who it is. You think they would be cool? Okay, good. Because these I have between Ty and I, Adagio doesn't let us get the Fandom Blends sample in the pouch. Oh, okay. Talia, excuse me just a second, guys. Talia, come over here and talk, Talia. Come over here and talk.
Okay, Mom. All right. Hang on, Mom. I want to say hi quick. I am so sorry about that, guys. We have a neighbor who, she's not quite a neighbor. She lives in the neighborhood, and she stopped by one time. She saw we have Jesus on our doorway, and she will just stop by randomly and say hi. She also takes care of a husband who has medical issues, and she wanted to bring him by to say hi when she's coming home from mass. So she was poking her head, through the. I was like, "Oh no, you saw me."
Yeah, this is our wonderful neighbor, and she has a chronically ill husband, and they moved down the street from us. And one day, out of the blue, she saw our Divine Mercy photo that we've had since the pandemic started on our door. We're not taking it off, and so she just has this very high opinion of us. And then when she found out that we have chronically ill people here as well, she has us in ridiculously high esteem. So she's very sweet, and we love her dearly. And she brought her husband over, so I wanted to make sure I said hi because I never met him.
Yeah, this is the first time. I know I was distracted when instead of being like, "Hi, how are you doing?" for the first time, I'm like, I go in for the hug. I'm like, no, that's something I normally do.
Yeah.
But I was definitely distracted. I usually start with a handshake.
He knew. They both understood they were shoo-shooing me out, and I apologize for having to leave, but I couldn't let it.
There was a golden opportunity to find. He doesn't leave the house.
He doesn't leave the house. He can't get out of the house very often. He was out, so I wanted to make sure I acknowledged the effort by saying hi.
So at first I thought maybe it was medicine that needed to be signed for. It didn't even occur to me that it might.
Oh, that's what I was saying to you. If it's her, tell her we're podcasting.
And I did. As soon as I opened the door, I'm like, "I'm sorry, we can't be very long. We're live streaming."
Yeah. But anyway, so I'm going to take this on your guys' approval that you would not mind getting these for stitch markers and things.
And you mentioned that you put magnets.
Yeah, I put magnets. I have a bunch that are my blends up there, magnetized.
Since a lot of the prizes would be nice.
Okay, perfect.
But like I said, the fold-up scissors from Knit Picks do fit. It's a little tight. You have to angle them just right. Mm-hmm. But I have one of these on my desk that's filled with the ring stitch markers. I think I also generally keep 2 locking stitch markers in there. and 2 or 3, and then I have the fold-up scissors.
I don't know if these are big enough to do the fix-it tool, the one that they use for crafts.
They're not.
But it would be nice to, even if you just have your stitch markers and things. And that way I can get rid of some of my excess of these and they'll go to good use.
I have excess as well.
So, because they don't allow us to do the envelopes of the fandom blend for the smaller amounts. This is a sample.
Which is a few cups.
Which is like maybe 4 or 5 cups, depending on how much you put in. And then they have a larger one, which is an envelope, and a larger one, which is a large tin.
Mm-hmm.
And I can show you the large tin in a minute here. But these, if I want to just get the sample, they pile up after a while. I love them, but they do. Hey, Sissy! Yay! Yay. Haven't seen her for a while. Let me get I'll show you the big tin.
Wait, do you have one of the big tins?
In Davina's, yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that was, because the only other time I've seen it with big tins when we gave Grandma one.
I think this is a 5 ounce.
That's a 5 ounce.
Wasn't sure it was 5 or 8, but it's 5 ounce.
It's 5.
And this one is
hey Emma.
Puer Torrent. Hi Emma, it's great to see you. Are you feeling better? It sounds like you're here. Glad to see you. Yay.
Yeah, that's a nice box. You could keep that's something you would easily keep things in. You could keep other tins in that.
Yep. Actually, probably could.
Mm-hmm.
Across the thing there.
Yeah, Rana said she would glue a magnet to the back.
Yeah.
Oh, she'd glue a magnet to the back, fill them with stitch markers, then stick them on her 3-tier rolling cart.
Oh, that's cool.
That's really smart. And
that's interesting.
That's a really good idea. Rana's just saying hi to Emma, and
I just wanted to see what Emma had. I couldn't tell if it was a leaf or a red hand. Emma, have you been sticking your hand in paint, or is that blood?
Wow, Mom.
Too much Agatha Christie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mom, usually in Agatha Christie, if there's a bloody handprint or something, it's something that was faked after the fact. Because
I know. I know. I'm well aware. And there's also, that's the kind of thing in Sherlock Holmes, too.
Rachi.
Nostalgia. Oh, wow.
Mm.
I'm glad you were able to make it. Emma, it's afternoon where you are, right? 5 hours later? About 2 o'clock or something like that? I'm not sure what time it is. It might be 11 o'clock here.
It's right here, Mom. UK is 3:47.
3:47. Okay.
I have it that goes across the bottom because we have so many people in so many different time zones. I try to have the most common ones on the bottom of my browser.
I think it's the weather that brings the pain up. I don't have diagnosed fibro, but the weather does definitely.
Well, then arthritis also definitely.
Arthritis, yes. My arthritis has been really bad this week. Well, not really bad for me.
Mm-hmm. JD set your reading goal. So JD said it has to be 85. That's great.
Oh, JD said 85, huh? Okay.
My low reading goal is 100, but I also include audiobooks in that.
I tried to get my Storygraph set up, but I can't figure out how to put Shammy, whatever her name is, in there.
We'll have to sit down and see what I can do to help you.
Yeah.
Did you see? Well, I'll have to get you set up too. Maybe if you wanted to at least do the challenges where there's no time limit.
I'll have to think about it. Yeah.
Brittany's been having fibro flare too. It's something to do with like the swelling and the weather and all that. Exactly a week ago, I was having it bad enough I couldn't really walk very well.
I took my medicine today and I was having trouble walking. I didn't know I was going to do my workout today. I was off balance. But
well, for me it was weird. It wasn't off balance. I get audiobook. Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes you just can't sit down and read, or sometimes the library doesn't have the ebook. It only will have the audiobook for the app. And I can usually make it through an audiobook faster than an ebook. And with the library, I don't want to lose my book because the library doesn't let me renew it.
Yeah. Well, I read the whole. Well, I'm waiting for the 8th book to come out because it's not coming out until January 26th. But I read those 7 books like in, I don't know, I started, I think, October. And the first 3, I think I finished the first 3 before January 1st, or the first 4.
Well, the problem is I read a lot of history books, which can be anywhere from 300 to, I think the longest one I have is like 800. Thank you about the nails. Davina got me started on, well, I asked around Christmas if she had any red nail polish. Davina doesn't wear red nail polish, so she didn't, but she was excited that I was interested, so she went and picked some up for me. So I'm going to get a different colorage of all different reds, and then I have a top coat that'll be 3 different top coats. This is the matte, and then I will have a shiny and a we said it was unicorn was the way they described it. So it's a little bit of fun, and I think it'll actually end up being somewhat good for my nails because I'm going to strengthen them too.
Comment on what on the last podcast?
You commented on the nails in the last podcast. Right. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, I have a deeper red that I'm probably gonna wear after this one. It's Mom really liked that one. It was kind of like the
I like the very deep, almost blood red color.
There's one that's a little bit more closer to that one even. But yeah, I have always liked red the best. It's a very classic color no matter what red you do.
My favorite is the one I wore for my wedding, which was a pearlescent white.
Well, I have a feeling that if you had my unicorn top coat, you would just wear the unicorn top coat. It's a pretty top coat.
I don't do a lot with my nails, but I'm going to go in for I talked to my husband because with my my psoriatic arthritis, my skin gets really dry and my hands are starting to crack. So
I'm also have given her it's still to come in. It's something that is put out for people who have issues with nails that break, and some of them break quite badly, and it's supposed to help strengthen her nails so she doesn't have as much of a breakage issue.
Yes, and then there's the what I call the fat finger syndrome, where you just kind of hit things that you don't want to hit.
Yeah. I'm scrolling. I've heard about Scribd. Sissy, I've actually heard about it for the first time. So what happens is, from what I understand, Scribd is where you can basically like a library where you can listen to or read books for free. From what I understand, though, is that some people have had issues with Scribd. If they're listening to an audiobook, sometimes the book will go away and they can't get it anymore.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, it's free, right?
It is free.
Yeah.
I think it ended up being, usually, again, ends up mostly a problem with things like history books because they're a lot longer than your average book. It came up when we were talking about the Historathon.
I didn't realize how long Small Magic is. It's over 300 pages, almost 350 pages of short stories.
Rena has claimed fat finger syndrome.
Yes.
My problem is I've memorized close to where things are at on my phone, on the keyboard, which means I make more mistakes because I start not looking when I'm typing.
I don't like the touch tone on the phone for many reasons. One of the things is fat finger syndrome. The other one is that there's no feel to it.
Well, the other thing that's happened to me is I will hit it and it won't necessarily take. Okay, they're $11.99 a month. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so they cut off after 6 audiobooks. Gotcha. I see. Yeah, now I do seem to remember them mentioning a subscription.
Emma.
Davina gave me Audible for one of my presents, so she just keeps it updating for me, which is great because then I
have the free version of Audible.
Well, yeah, because you don't have to have the membership, which is great because then if someone gives you an audiobook, you can still listen to it.
I have one on the Revolution I'm listening to on Audible. I haven't gone back
to it yet. Yes, that's the one. That's a great course.
Look, she's sticking out her tongue. Makes me laugh.
I need another sip of tea. Yeah, because when I was still doing Baker Bears, she was doing the Baker Bears for me. It's like, hey, I'm not really using it that much. We thought of doing Pandora, and we did for a very short while. But then she switched over to Audible, which honestly has been much better for me because if I save my credits right, I can really get some books. I usually try to save my free credit for A, more expensive books, and then B, the ones that are really long. Like I have one that's on Napoleon that is super long. It's like 30, I want to say it's like 30 hours long.
Yes, it was, Brittany. She likes to be able to help Ty out, especially when she had no funds coming in.
Yes. And
have a great day, Margaret, and have a wonderful game of golf.
Try to stay warm.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring up the last, because you can get, like I said, quite a, oh no, all titles not in progress. I don't know why it's showing me every single. Okay, so Napoleon. Yeah, I thought so. Napoleon. It was a book that's 32 hours,
Good
almost
morning,
33
Nancy.
hours long.
Good to see you. Yeah.
So that tells you how long. That's probably an over 800.
How are you doing,
book.
Nancy?
Hi, Nancy.
Surprised Laura's not here yet.
It's early for her.
It is early for her, or she might not have gone to bed yet.
I did that the other night, guys. I got caught up in a book and I realized that it was time to go to bed when it was, or I started thinking about going to bed when it started getting time to get up. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just catch a nap later. Haven't done that since the Hunger Games for the first book.
So only okay, Nancy? Is the weather getting to you too?
She couldn't get her app to work, so she's on the computer.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yay for technology.
Yeah. Yay for options.
True, that is true.
Well, I was going to say before we got kind of interrupted that there was a person on Adagio who had been so affected with the arthritis flare that she had to go in and get a shot. I think that's what she said, a shot.
Cortisone.
The weather, yeah, okay. I don't know. She didn't say. She just said she had to go in. It was a few days ago, or a week ago, something like that. The weather is not our friend, Nancy. It can be. But
you're going to hurt the weather's feelings.
I'm not the one who's not being the friend. If we're fragile, we need special handling.
Fragile.
Fragile. Not to be confused with the major ward. What are you all working on? Of course, I can't see anything, but yeah.
So they could tell you they're working on something, and you would have no idea whether or not they made that up.
They wouldn't do that. Laura's not here. They wouldn't do that. I love you, Laura. Oh, right. Okay.
Well, I'm glad you had a stretch where you felt good.
That must have been nice.
We didn't get a thunderstorm last night.
No, it rained.
Oh, I didn't hear the rain.
It rained this morning.
Oh, okay. I must have finally got to bed at that point.
Oh, nice. What kind of a shawl? Is it knit or crocheted, Sissy? Well, just hold on to that feeling, Emma, and then when you're able, you can do it.
And Brittany is empathizing for Laura, although Laura would absolutely have no problem messing with us.
Nope.
Since he's crocheting. Oh, I'm sorry you had the flu, Nancy.
Oh, yikes. Crocheting, okay.
You can't read and type on knitting and crochet. Not the cord.
That's why I do things that don't have any repeats. I mean, like any kind of things that I have to pay attention to. I just go, knit all the way through, or I just know the pattern so well that it doesn't matter.
MPKC's not being helpful.
She says she's not MPKC.
Well, she's not being helpful.
She is Miss. What's she? Miss?
Gosh.
Well,
persnickety? No,
I forget what we called her. MPKC. I forget what it was.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
It was called.
I know it's KC was Kitty Cat.
Yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't Miss Persnickety Kitty Cat?
I don't think so. She'd say it was Miss Perfect Kitty Cat. Or Miss Pretty Kitty Cat.
Oh gosh, guys, I feel like I'm a blah blah
blah blah blah.
Like no brains whatsoever.
You don't want me to comment on that.
You're mean.
I didn't comment on anything. You can't say on me.
Sometimes you can say without saying.
Well,
and when you say you're not
that would not hold
when
up
you-
that would not hold up in a court of law.
This is not a court of law.
It is in fact.
If you say that you're not going to say something or like that, that just means that you're saying it without saying it.
You're only conjecturing what I'm saying without
You
saying.
said I'm not going to comment.
But you're only conjecturing.
Whenever someone says they're not going to comment on
that
something,
you cannot use that
with specificity.
That's
just actually saying
that is not going to hold up. All gobbledygook. I've had that too, especially if I'm like, kind of talking as an aside, and then it's like, wait a minute, what did I just say? It's really weird.
Usually when that happens for me, it's because I've fallen asleep and didn't realize it, and then I'll wake up and it makes absolute sense what I'm about to say, and then I'm like, wait a second, I don't think that has anything to do with what we were talking about.
Usually when I'm doing it's not so much that I don't make sense. That's usually if I'm really tired. But if sometimes it's like my tongue gets twisted.
Or like can't find the right word.
Yeah. Well, I hate that because you sit there going, and I was the thing.
Ooh, Mom, your phone.
Let me turn this off.
Anna Knitter started a long time ago work on and finish a project, and she's listening and reading the Bible in a year. Thought that was a good idea, so she's finishing lap blanket for donation. Oh, that is a good idea.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I had the Bible in a year, the New Adventure Bible, so I am reading it. I can't do the Father Mike Schmidt's podcast for the Bible in a year. That man talks too fast.
I did that last year, and I'm doing.
He's exhausting.
I did that last year, and I'm doing the Catechism a year right now, and I do it when I'm on the treadmill.
That's just the girl who
gently tapped.
Yes, brain fog. Yes, Mom gave me a brain fog.
I did.
Yes, 2 hour naps are nice.
Mm-hmm. I like naps.
For me, the brain fog likes to hop out, particularly when I'm trying to read out loud, and then I'll look at a word and just like for that moment, it's almost like I don't know what it's trying to say. It's like, brain. The written plan and just read. Don't have time for the podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm doing that written plan. I like the way it's set up. They do have a nice commentary within the book, and they also have the commentary books, which honestly, then you can just do them when you have time to.
If I do it that way, I won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I have all 3 books, and when things get a little more even keel, I have to figure out what I can let go.
She's very bad about that. She likes to add all the things.
I have all 3 books with the commentary for the podcast. And but there's so much to do, so many neat things to do.
And Pat is working on shalography.
I remember you saying some of that. I think you put it on the chat, but I haven't been in the chat except to kind of heart things. The WhatsApp.
Hang on, the chat's trying to come back again. It's being stupid.
Yeah, if we're hesitating because we can't see your comments. There we go.
Let me make sure it's back on live chat. Because I was trying to move the screen. I accidentally made the chat go away. There we go. All right. Now, there we go. Stay.
I don't like Stephen West.
Although, what was that one that you didn't mind? There's one of them that didn't look bad because it wasn't as weird as the rest.
His early ones I like. It's when he starts getting into the weird stuff that I don't care for it.
Well, he's very geometric.
He is. He's very unconventional.
That is definitely one way to put it.
Yeah, he's unconventional. I like his early stuff. I'm not as fond of his later stuff.
Well, I mean,
I haven't seen. Now, to be fair, I haven't seen his new stuff in about 5 years.
But yeah, I don't know what else he put out.
Except for the thing that Kay did,
which. As soon as she cast it on, I knew she wasn't going to wear it.
I was like, why are you even doing this?
Because this is not in her personality. She's not a look at me type person.
Yeah. I was so surprised that she did that.
Mm-hmm. I think she liked the idea of the construction, even though it ended up driving her absolutely insane.
I don't, it's not like I mind color block or anything. It's just some of the stuff, the way it It doesn't seem like normal clothing to me. I don't.
Well, I think he likes playing with shapes and stuff.
Yeah,
I think he
and that's
likes.
great.
I think he likes seeing how he can, do things that. At least what I gather is like he just tries to do it in the most creative way possible.
Well, he's very creative, and so that's not everybody's gonna like the same type of creativity. And like I said, I really like his earlier stuff. But
Emma says that she's only made one of his shawls
Mhm.
and it's pretty normal, but she loves how his brain works. And his tutorials are easy to follow. At least he has good tutorials.
That's good then. I mean, and like I said, I may revisit his stuff later on, especially his early stuff. I love fiber spider tutorials. Oh, I never heard of fiber
I don't know
spider.
if there's any spiders in there. I might have an issue.
I don't know who that is. I honestly have cut back so far on the things that I watch, and stuff like that. I finally started watching your tutorial about the magic loop, but I didn't start it because I was in the middle of doing something else.
Yeah, I think the only things I watch now, other than some of my true crime things, are basically BookTube. And even then, with BookTube, I watch certain people, and then other people. If I like them, I kind of have to space it out because every time they mention something, I find something I want.
Yep.
There's just one guy who does history, particularly ancient history, and every time he mentions a book, I'm like, okay, I just need to not listen to any of your episodes because you talk and I have to go looking in the library.
I think it's bad that I saw fiber spider and read fibro spider.
I mean, it could have been a fibro spider.
Something a spider would do.
Isn't like a fibro like? I'm not thinking fibro as in like fibromyalgia. I'm thinking of like this.
That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, like she said K is good.
Unfortunately, I'm not on Bakery Bears anymore. I dropped the Patreon. I wasn't watching it, so I just didn't have time. I do love her tutorials.
It's like you wanted the tutorials, but you were never sitting down to do them.
Yeah, and I might go back on. It's not saying I will never go back because I do love her tutorials. I don't have time. The podcasts are wonderful and they put a lot of work into it, but I just don't have time to do it justice for the money. Because I have to do enough to do the tutorials. I have to do a support enough for the tutorials.
Yeah, because that's what you'd be mostly there for.
Because I wasn't even doing the after a while, I wasn't even doing the what do you call it?
Pops.
The pops. It was at a bad time.
Nancy says that she's now been inspired to start Agatha Christie.
Oh, good. Did it again. Oops, she did it again. Yes.
I wonder if she's
yeah, we said Bakery Bears.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. That's what I thought. I was like, I don't think she meant day. I think she meant say. Okay.
She's just one of those that we all have that syndrome.
Yeah. Well, right now it's like I have to think twice because my brain's not all there. No, not Dave. I forgot to bring. I'm sorry for shaking the table. I forgot to bring my bench with me that I normally use to elevate my feet. So you're gonna feel the table shake because I'm putting my feet up.
Just don't knock the computer down.
No, I won't. There's enough room for my feet and the computer. But it might help my brain a little bit if I have my feet elevated. What a horror, right, Brittany, to be sucked in?
And Brittany turned around and got me into chirp because she gave me a book.
But via Agatha Christie.
Yes, via Agatha Christie, but that was Brittany's fault.
No
corner for her.
And then Brittany now has the most awesome little tracking book ever for Agatha Christie. They sell, I don't know if they do them anymore. Checkerbeat checklists. Yeah, Checkerbeat checklists used to sell these little booklets that you would have for each author, and you would open. You could find every single book they ever they ever wrote, when it was written, when it was supposed to be set, and they would say a little blurb about each book. And yes, I know you can find stuff online now, but they would also have like alternate titles. I've flipped through my Agatha Christie books, Checkerbeat checklist so many times. I love that thing.
There's something about having a book, an actual book for that kind of stuff.
It is. And we got Renna sucked in a couple years ago with all our Poirot talk.
Yep.
now she could see Poirot from some of the older ones in the book when she reads.
Right. Yep. Huge fan. Slip extravaganza shawl.
So it must be a lot of slip stitching.
Yeah. Stephen West.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure
David Suchet is Poirot.
He's Poirot. Yes.
If you ever read and the autobiography is called, I want to say My Life is Poirot. Hang on, I'll pull it up on, because I just finished reading / listening to it, because I started off by reading it and I ended up by listening to it because the audiobook was read by Suchet, so it was perfect. Okay, whoops, my help if I know how to spell Poirot. Okay, so Suchet, might be just easier if I look up. Oh, you bring my bench? Thank you. Thank you.
I can just see the computer going sideways.
It would have been hilarious if, you got me the bench and I moved my feet and everything and then the computer went sideways. Because
yes, very hilarious.
Yeah. Okay. He does seem to be a lovely, humble man. Oh, a friend of yours met him at a funeral. Oh, wow.
I like his ethic as an actor.
Well, he is the kind of actor you want to play your character because in his head, he's representing the character and the author. Okay, so it's called Poirot and Me by David Suchet.
And there's a free video out there of the same name. I watched that, and I'm sure it doesn't have everything.
No, because this is a full length book that is let's see, title details. It's a 9-hour book. And I forget how many pages because I started off on Kindle and then switched over to the audiobook. But he talks through about his he's very much of a character actor. He talks about how things about getting character and that kind of thing. Just very interesting.
I want to see him in Murder on the Orient Express. I haven't seen him in that one yet. Murder on the Orient Express.
Pat says that along with Bakery Bears, we're the only patrons.
We appreciate that. We're grateful for that. And like I said, I may go back to them later, but right now it isn't. I wasn't doing enough to merit it, and
I laugh at
if Pat is paying out, I'll take some. 10s and 20s, right?
Not small on marked bills.
Well, no, Sally wants 10s and 20s. I think that's what she said.
Yeah.
He has a brother?
Oh,
I didn't know he had a brother. Huh, that's interesting.
I want to say he has several siblings. He's not a small. He's from. I want to say he's several siblings.
Oh, that's cool. More coffee. No, coffee won't do it. You need more tea.
Well, I told you. No, I don't think I told you the story where he had after he played the role in not Air Force One, the one he.
I know what you're talking about. It was Executive Decision.
Executive Decision, and they got him for a role again here in the U.S. playing I guess a similar type of thing where he's supposed to be a terrorist or whatever. And they're like, well, it's a good thing you speak this language. He's like, I don't speak that language. I guess he acted well enough that they were convinced he could speak whatever Arabic language they had him speaking in. What is that movie? Oh, you just said that. I am such I have zero brain. I love the fact that you can get audiobooks now, and my library worked with me so well in getting, actually both libraries worked with me so well for getting just had to go over, there we go. And getting my library card set up so I can have the audio apps, because to be quite honest with you, I should have had to come in to get my library card renewed because I hadn't used it in a while. But when they found out that I'm, really don't leave the house, I'm pretty much homebound, they worked with me so I didn't have to leave the house to get my library book. Because I think, look, this is why I want it. I don't really leave the house. It's a lot easier for me to use the apps. Mm-hmm. So they really worked with me. And
it's a beautiful library.
Yeah. she mostly listens to audiobooks on YouTube. Mom was doing that, but the problem is they disappear on her. And then she won't get to know the ending, or she can't find the book again. And that's the thing that happened to you most often.
Yeah, and so I would end up, and I'd get all the I don't have a clearer idea of some of the stories because I would start and they would disappear, and I'd start another one.
That's a bad thing with a mystery too, because I am so sorry, guys.
I finished listening to the Big Four that Brittany gave me, and now I'm listening to Tommy and Tuppence
Secret Adversary.
Yeah, Secret Adversary, which is really good. It took me a while to get into it, but it's good.
Well, that's only because you didn't care for the one main character.
I'm still not sure how I feel about her. We'll see.
Miranda says she clicks on YouTube history to find them again. Well, I think what was happening to you is they were getting rid of them.
I just couldn't find them.
Oh, you just couldn't find them? Do you know how to look at your history?
I think so. I don't know.
Okay, let's see if you know how to do that.
It's different on the phone than on the computer.
Oh, yeah, but you can still do it on the phone, too. Because I do it all the time. Sometimes if I want to make sure I find a video again, I will watch 5 seconds of it. Just so it pops up on my history, and I'll go back to whatever.
Oh, yeah, I think I know where the history is. Yeah. At least on the computer.
It's not too much different on the phone.
Naomi is reading clue books. Who's Naomi?
Where does it say Naomi? Oh, did you say Naomi was reading? That's someone that we follow from reading. She was on our team for Superintendent Battle. Yes, I did see that, Brittany. It's actually a little bit more complicated than that, because I was going to take part in that challenge. But, okay, so it's like you are trying to, with your reading, uncover a clue card. And then by the end, you're supposed to try to figure out, based on the cards that you have, who killed Mr. Body in the library. I'm sorry, who killed Mr. Body where and with what instrument of death. And so it's like, okay, if you read certain number of books, first of all, you end up with certain cards based on who you are. So if you're Mr. Green, you end up with these cards to start off with. And then you have to, by reading certain books, you can uncover different cards. And then you can make your accusation, just like you do in the Clue game. Yeah, I almost took part in that, Brittany, and I was really looking forward to it. But my brain this year has not been up to it. So instead, I switched over to the Historathon. But yeah. Also, Brittany, Naomi's doing a Bible in the year. At least she was going to.
I miss reading to the kids too. Of course, once the kids got a little older, I only read in the daytime. My husband took over reading at night because he liked to do it.
Davina and I used to read the Clue books all the time as kids, JD. We had, I feel like we had a ton of them, but maybe we didn't. Because of that, I have a very specific picture of what the characters look like. Also because of the old Clue game board. Apparently, I want to say overseas, I think it's Professor Plum wait. No, maybe it's Mrs. White who changed. There is a Dr. Orchid in the overseas version. Yeah, there's.
I remember that.
I want to say he replaced Mrs. White.
Why would he replace Mrs. White?
That was just the original form for that. Let me double check. I want to say it's Dr. Orchid who is Mrs. White, I believe, in the overseas version. And I'm trying to remember what Rena does too. That she said that maybe she checks. Oh, she does the 5 seconds of the video and then goes back and look at her history if she wants to rewatch something. I do that a lot with true crime. I'm looking up Clue game characters. I want to say Mr. Orchid replaced Mrs. White, or was the original Mrs. White or something. And they might have decided that you just had two between Professor Plum and Dr. Orchid. Maybe they're too similar. Okay, so actually, I think this has Mrs. White in it. Okay, so let's see this version. Oh no, that's a new Clue board. Why did you want to do a new Clue board? We had a cool Clue game board. The graphic novel books like Babysitter Club. I remember Babysitter Club.
I remember Babysitter's Club, yeah. You girls had it.
Yeah, we did.
The ones I was really proud of getting for you guys, those with the American Girl Club stuff.
Yeah, we really enjoyed those. Davina's getting into some of the older books that we used to read. I've been stocking thrift books for the Trixie Belden books because Trixie Belden is a little bit expensive elsewhere. So, but Davina's Trixie Belden books, my own book, with my own book interest, we've bumped me up to the highest level where you accumulate points really quickly. So Davina keeps getting like every other book, she gets like a free book.
Nancy, they carry James Alberione books.
Yes, they do.
So if you keep an eye on thrift books and you don't have something, they might be able to get it for you.
I've never heard of the series Bad Guys. Are you leaving, Emma? Is that what the waving is?
Are you saying goodbye, Emma? It says bye, lovey.
Yeah, I see that now. Bye, Emma.
Have a good afternoon and evening, Emma. Sleep well. Get some knitting done if you like.
Yeah.
God bless.
Now, Mom, LibriVox that Rena's mentioning.
I've heard that. Yeah.
If it's a classic book, or if it's it has to be what's it called? Copyright has passed. You know.
Oh right.
Open.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Then those will be on LibriVox, and you just have to find the right readers. They tend to break it up awkwardly into parts, like a ton of parts, but
God bless, Emma.
And so yeah, I agree with you though. I disagree when Americans are reading British lit. I definitely have to have a British reader. And I wouldn't want a female reading like even though I know there are women who read Poirot, my preference is not to have that. Okay, I was trying to bring up that's okay, here's a clue with character wiki that should help me. Oh, apparently, okay, at one point Mr. Body was Mr. Black or Dr. Black. Okay, in the UK, Mr. Body is Dr. Black. Or at least he's the original. Then you have who are the other characters? Okay, Miss Scarlet's always been Miss Scarlet. Now they're describing like all the 20 million different ways she's been represented. Then Colonel Mustard's always been the same. Oh, in some versions, Mr. Green is Reverend Green, which is so weird to me because in the books he's kind of like almost like a con man's person. So let me keep going. Still now then there's Mrs. Peacock.
I like Mrs. Peacock.
And she's always been pretty consistent. Usually when I've seen her, she's been older.
Right. White hair.
Yeah. Or at least graying, and she's just really like sophisticated looking. Okay, let's see. Inspector Gray. Okay, he's non-play. This must be for in 1986 there was a Super Cluedo challenge in the UK, and I guess Inspector Gray was a character. I'm trying to find back to the Lord Gray. Okay, I'm obviously missing characters here. Okay, easiest way is Mrs. White, because I'm pretty sure it's either Mrs. White or Professor Plum who was replaced.
Right.
Yeah, I think dramatic training might help. Okay, so we'll just see if they're a real person or if they are a bot.
Yeah. I'll say hello just in case.
Yes. Okay, so Mrs. White. All right, so of course she's Blanche White. Of course.
Blanche White. Davina will get a kick out of that. Not Bianca White, Blanche White.
Oh my gosh, she would love this because they go through like when they're born and everything. Yeah. Like this would be so Davina's. So Clue has a whole wiki, y'all. So like in case you were curious, Mrs. White was born November 1st of 1891.
Thanks, Pat. We saw it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hugh Fraser does an excellent job. Yes, he does.
What I'm gonna do is I'm going to report odd comment because we're gonna just put them in timeout.
Yeah. Thank you for letting us know.
Thank you.
because we might not have seen it.
Oh my gosh. When Hugh Fraser reads, you almost don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Even when he's doing the females.
Yes, he does that. I love listening to him. He's great. I love it. You see the indignity. That's not playing the game.
Murder is not a
A
game.
game.
I'm just gonna have to look up. I feel like it was Dr. Orchid.
Of A Christmas Carol. Glenn.
It's a reader
Oh,
that
the
you're
reader.
saying that does really.
Yes.
They don't have a British accent, but they are very good at. Maybe it's Mr. Orchid. It was Dr. Black and Mr. Orchid.
That made me think of Brother Orchid.
Is that the movie with
Edgar G. Robinson?
Thank you. Okay, my Clue wiki has let me down. I guess if I look up Mr. Orchid, Doctor.
I don't know if it's that important.
I'm curious. It's not. It's in my brain. I must.
Yes, but you've got people here.
It is Dr. Orchid. Cluepedia has informed us. So Dr. Orchid is from the board game Clue, first introduced in 2016 edition as a replacement of Mrs. White.
So that was until later then.
Yeah.
He's not a real.
Oh, actually, apparently it's a she.
Okay, she's not a real player.
She's a scientist and a biologist.
Of course she is.
Oh, you know what? She could probably, don't they have like stuff in the conservatory, that kind of thing? So maybe she works in the conservatory or something. That's what conservatory is for, is it? Like conserving stuff?
No, observatory is what you're thinking.
Oh,
of.
observatory. Okay.
I think a conservatory has plants. I'm not sure.
You think I remember from the board game, like when they had all the pictures?
I've never really seen a conservatory.
Because you had the conservatory, but you also would have what was it, the living room? No, they didn't have a living room. They had a dining room. They had a
conservatory.
The kitchen. I used to love that game because you'd have like this certain rooms had secret doors that would lead to each other.
It looks like it's something with music.
Oh, is that the room with the piano in it?
Well, no, he's got plants. Our beautiful conservatory. It looks like my original idea was conservatory. This is what we were talking about in our when we talked about the story, and we were talking about going into modern times.
Yeah,
that he would have in his house.
Okay,
conservatory.
So if you could possibly have a Dr. Orchid working in that conservatory then for Mr. Body / Dr.
This one
Black.
looks like it might have a table. See, they have tables and stuff. Look at this. I don't know if you can see this. It's too bright.
I will bring it up a little closer. You can kind of see it. Mom's screen is washing out. Some of the conservatories are quite pretty.
Yeah. Because I've often heard and I had an idea, and I thought it had something to do with plants. I think in Little Women they had Amy walking in a conservatory at one point.
They might have
one of the books. I'm not sure.
I've only read the one book.
Yeah, I've read I think most of them, or if not all of them.
Have a blessed Friday, Sissy.
Oh, thank you for joining us, Sissy. It was great to see you.
I will have to save this wiki. Maybe put together something for Davina at some point with all the random character stuff. She'd love that.
Yeah,
because
if she's still into it.
Well, she's like me, that if you have something with a bunch of random facts for characters, she will flip through it. Mm-hmm. If I was to leave my Star Wars character Bible out, she would be flipping through and looking at all the. Now, granted, the artwork is cool for it, but it doesn't matter if she knows the characters or not.
She did. She grabbed my before she got her own copy. She grabbed my X-Men.
Did you ever get to keep it in your room before you gave her one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was mine. She was supposed to look at it without my permission.
This is actually growing.
The one she got is newer, so it has some extra characters in it. What's that?
It is actually growing.
Yeah. And this is growing as well. I'd like to finish this because I want to start another one.
I bet they don't publish a lot in the way anymore of those character Bibles and stuff because everyone can just look at a wiki now.
Yeah, I don't want that. I want a book. I mean, Ty and I spent the other day looking at thesauruses and dictionaries. I
have such an awesome new dictionary.
I've got a great thesaurus.
I haven't even quite been able to bring myself to show off my ginormous dictionary on BookTube yet. But yeah, I have a big old Oxford Dictionary of English. Not because the Oxford English dictionaries they had available. I mean, it's the same thing. I don't know why they flipped the word dictionary English, but regardless.
Maybe the other one is actually British. The other one.
No, it would say American English otherwise. And I compared between the one for American English and this one was better. It had more words. Hi, Jackie.
Good morning, Jackie.
So yeah, Mom and I were just looking through thesaurus and dictionaries. UK, depending on where she's at, it's 4:29 p.m. according to my cheat thing on my screen.
It should be everywhere in the UK. It's not that big a country.
Yeah. Well, it's a Commonwealth.
Well, yeah. Well, usually when people say they're in the UK, they're in England, Wales, or Scotland, Northern Ireland. They're not in Australia or something, or Canada.
4:30.
Are you in the UK, Jackie?
Yes, she said up there.
Oh, I didn't see it.
I always like that spelling the name Jackie.
It's pretty. Good afternoon. Oh, Nancy thinks you got me in my head now saying good afternoon, sir.
If any of y'all, okay, everyone has their own opinion about which Christmas Carol is the best. It's okay. You're entitled to be wrong if you want to.
Yes.
But the only true version of Christmas Carol is Scrooge with Albert Finney.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's got music. Okay, if my dad likes it in his music, it's good because he doesn't generally do musicals. Other than Fiddler on the Roof.
Yep. Those are the two exceptions.
Yeah. Oh, I want to look at your clue board.
How come she got a text?
I will show you.
How come she got a text?
Oh, yours is different. Ours had actually, okay, so here's your picture. So it has just like what I guess what the floor would look like.
Yeah.
Okay, so Brittany, I'll have to find a picture later. Although you had close to the same cover. No. Oh, yours is an old. This looks like it's a 70s cover or something.
Wow.
Because that is not how ours looks.
I don't really remember too much about ours, but
because I'll have to find Brittany what ours looks like. Because, and actually,
thank you, Brittany. I win.
There you go. That's very different than what ours looked like.
Let me see mine. I want to see mine.
So ours had, when you would open up the board, first of all, the cover looked different. Let's see, clue board. I want to say ours was
it's 1972. She said
that looks like it looks like it would be images. Oh yeah, I can see it. I'm trying to find ours. Actually, this one ours. I think this one was what our board looked like. So okay, I had to find what the outside of it looked like. But ours actually had the furniture and stuff in it. So the study has a couch, a lamp, and then it shows you. It actually has an arrow to where the secret passageway leads, which comes up to the kitchen. So study and the kitchen are connected. I used to love that so much, to go from the two rooms to the secret passageway. Yeah. If you drag out your old board at some point, Rena, take a picture of it. I'm interested in seeing, because if it's 50 years old, it might even look different from either of ours.
Well, 50 years old is 70 something. 73, something like that.
I'm trying to see where the picture of the okay, yeah, Mom, see, look, conservatory does have plants. See, that's the one with the big windows.
Yeah. I thought so. Because you always hear about people walking up and down the conservatory.
So yeah, the conservatory is the one with all the windows there. I mean, granted, the billiard room has windows too. But I always liked the library and the way the ballroom is the one that had the piano. Yeah. The ballroom had to be the prettiest room in that house. Because, when you played Clue enough, you got really invested in that house. In my head, this is Mr. Body's house. Obviously, this is only one floor because he has to have a bigger house than this. I'm sure there was an upstairs and downstairs.
Upstairs was probably all bedrooms.
Yeah, actually, look, this is the stairway down. I bet that goes down to Mrs. White's room and all that. I mean, that's just where you keep the cards, but yes, this was what our game looked like. And I don't know if it has and this is our box. So we had this box. I always thought we had the prettiest
Let me see
box.
it. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
So in my head, Mrs. Scarlet always looks like that.
Yeah.
And, you know.
That's why Leslie Ann Warren was pretty close when she played it.
Mrs. Peacock, you know.
Yeah.
Colonel Mustard, and I think they probably intended to be this, looks like the typical. This was during the period of time, and it was created. I heard it was created based off of
Tenal
Indians.
Yep.
Yeah, so we were talking about during Agatha Christie, and Colonel Mustard was based on a certain kind of character you would see during this period. Is the old like British officers who would go to India, and they would always come back talking like incessantly about their time in India.
Sean Connery could play that role.
Oh yeah, for sure. Brittany says our game was prettier. Okay, JD plays a new version with Dr. Orchid at her grandma's house. I always liked Mrs. White myself. Now I know some versions have Mrs. White like with black hair, and
yeah, I don't care for that.
Mrs. White to me always kind of looks like this. I mean, she's always kind of not Aunt B, but you know,
yeah, a little older.
Like if you were getting into her kitchen, you would know, she would let you know that you should not be there, Mr. Green.
Or she might get, if you're a child, you might get a special treat.
True. I mean, Mr. Green would totally be the one trying to get something out of her kitchen.
Oh, he looks very slimy.
He does look very slimy. That's why when they
oily.
Like when they say Reverend Green, I'm like, no, not Mr. Green. You know who would be able to get? Now we're creating a world.
I know who that. That's Muerte.
Oh, Muerte. Okay, have you guys ever watched Undercover Blues? Amazing movie if you haven't. It's got my brain's not working. Help me.
Kathleen Turner, and Dennis Quaid.
Who plays
and Tucci? Tucci.
I like Tucci.
Stanley Tucci.
You see him in things like Devil Wears Prada. You see him.
Not that I've ever seen that.
Every time I've seen him, I don't quite recognize him.
I'm deaf. What? No, it's Morty. It's Morty.
Well, the funny thing is, I didn't know who that was until you said it, and then I couldn't unsee it.
He's hysterical.
Oh, he's funny. But yeah, I agree with you, Mom. Muerte could play him. Colonel Mustard would get in the kitchen, and then somehow he'd be able to get around Mrs. White, but probably like flirting shamelessly.
It was bluff manner.
Oh yeah. I wonder where our whole game went. Did any of y'all play the I think we used to have an actual game like on the computer for it. I don't remember liking it as much as the card game though. For whatever reason, that board game was just that was for me the most fun board game we owned. I think probably because it used some logic skills, and the rooms were pretty, and you had secret passageways, and I mean, not that it made any logical sense that you would have rooms on opposite ends of the house connecting, but it's a board game.
I think Dr. Orchid just bugs me on the principle of the thing.
Well, who's supposed to be taking care of the house if Dr. Orchid is there?
Well, and it bugs me that I don't know. It just bugs me. It seems like a statement thing that they made the Dr. Orchid be just a woman and all that. Just leave her there. If you want to put another character in there, call her Dr. Orchid, then do so. But leave Mrs. White alone. I have ideas and opinions.
Well, maybe Mrs. White got married, decided that she was done with. Well, okay.
Maybe he was rich.
Yeah. But yeah, I did used to enjoy the whole the books, the whole thing. To me, I really went through a period where we had a lot of fun with that. And the movie was, even though it was wacky, it was.
Leslie Ann Warren was in that movie.
She played
Miss Scarlet.
Miss Scarlet, yeah.
She was one of the Miss Scarlets. I don't know who. I think there have been a few renditions, but I think she comes the closest. As to the ones that I've seen. She has to be in Scarlet. I mean, she has to be in red, just like Mrs. Peacock has to be in that blue. And so, sometimes I see renditions and they're not in those colors. I'm like, that's not them.
Mrs. Peacock gives me a very similar feel to the one lady in Cards on the Table.
Oh, you mean the one with the mother?
Well, she's not actually a mother.
I understand, but I'm trying to get an idea across.
Yes, that character.
Yes.
Okay, if you like Cards on the Table in the book, do not watch the episode or the movie.
Or just watch it knowing that it's a different story.
Right, that they completely made the story.
They changed the characters. Because they did. They changed the characters around. They combined some. I think they combined some, and they changed the ending a little, a lot actually.
Brittany, I've only seen one Clue movie. It's the one with He's a street. What's that? Who's that?
Well, who
plays Mr. Body?
You're talking about the guy. Okay.
Yeah,
that's Curry.
Curry, thank you. Because Tim Curry. When I think of Tim Curry, I immediately think of Annie. Mm-hmm. So I know he played Mr. Body, but I couldn't bring his name out of my head.
He's also in The Shadow.
Oh, he's in a bunch of different things.
He can be really funny. I don't watch a lot of his stuff.
Because he was also in Hunt for Red October. He was the doctor.
Right, he was, and that's actually a serious role for him, a good role for him.
No, he has he's one of those actors where you play spot him, you know.
Well, he has range. I don't watch a lot of what he does, but I love him in Annie and in Hunt for Red October and in what I just said, The Shadow. Mm-hmm. He's so over the top in The Shadow.
I didn't even remember him being in The Shadow.
He was the crazy, The Shadow, the one with Alec Baldwin. He was the crazy guy who wanted to get the sphere and all this.
Wait, Alec Baldwin was The Shadow?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't recognize him.
Let me think. I'm trying to make sure I got the right movie. The Shadow is the one with the Asian guy, because there's the other one with the purple costume, and that's not The Shadow.
That's not The Shadow. The Shadow knows.
Yeah, that's Alec Baldwin.
Oh, that was a young Alec Baldwin, right?
Not particularly. Penelope, the girl who played in Kindergarten Cop, was in there.
She was pretty.
She was blonde.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I've only seen the one Clue. I know there's got to be more of them. I mean, that show definitely just inclines itself towards it. I do know, even though I don't know a lot about the shows, I do know there's a book that has a Clue theme on it that's not actually Clue that you might be interested in, Brittany. I'm wanting to read it myself. I want to see E.C. Lorak wrote it. E.C.
I used to love those choose your own ending stories.
We were talking, Janelle from Too Fond of Books was talking about a book that I had read first, and she started reading. It's a choose your own adventure for adults, and it doesn't have any adult themes or anything like that. But it's a would you survive Midsummer? So you're a rookie cop.
Okay.
I guess it's based off the TV show, but you're a rookie cop, and you have to solve this murder. And I can't tell you how many times I either died or only solved a part of the mystery. I still haven't gotten 100% yet.
I have to look into that.
It's a lot of fun. It was really cheap too. It was only $1 or $2 on Kindle.
I have to look into that.
But yeah, it's Would You Survive Midsummer? Apparently, there's also ones that are choose your own adventure for other books as well. Not all of them are mysteries, but the mystery ones were always the ones I remember best as a kid. Let's see. Maybe if I look up.
She said there's several Clue movies.
Yes, she did. I don't know which one the best one is because we only know the one with. This is the book I was looking for. We only know the one. So the book I was trying to tell you about was kind of has a Clue idea. I meant to read it for this Clue read along, but I ended up getting involved with the Historathon instead. Okay, the book is by E.C.R. Lorak, so that's a person who wrote around the same time as Agatha Christie, so Golden Age author. And the book is called These Names Make Clues. It's a British library crime classic.
Oh, cool.
An invitation to a treasure hunt open to thriller writers and lesser mortals confront Scotland Yard's Chief Inspector MacDonald with 2 baffling deaths. And it's that, from what I gather, people take on other authors' names as part of their...
Oh, that's fun.
Yes. And since you know that she's definitely going to be picking on her fellow authors, having an author, probably having another author found dead somewhere or something. So I intend to read this. I don't know Okay, when Samuel Pepys is found dead in the telephone room in bizarre circumstances. So I think Pepys was an author at the time. Pepys.
Pepys.
Pepys. Yeah. Bye, Pat. Have a good lunch.
Thanks for joining us, Pat. Enjoy your meal.
I think this was a fairly inexpensive book too, Mom. These names make clues.
Yeah. I have to look into those.
I actually haven't read Sarah Lorac yet. That was another one I found out through Janelle. If there's anyone else who likes Agatha Christie type books, if you search out Golden Age authors, there's a whole list of people who are part of the Detection Club. So these were Agatha Christie's, contemporaries. They were all like writing buddies, and they had like this kind of jokey cloak and dagger club where they had their secret rules and they had joining ceremonies. They wanted Arthur Conan Doyle to be president, but he declined because he said he was too old. So instead, G.K. Chesterton did. And so they had like these ceremonies. You had like your promises you had to make, and Father Knox had written the rules of fair play. So yeah, I think. Oh, did you save the book? But yeah, if you look up the either Detection Club or you look up Golden Age authors, that's going to open up a whole avenue of authors who wrote around the same time period as Agatha Christie. None of them are quite as good as Agatha Christie, but they're fun. Of course, I'm biased toward Agatha Christie.
Oh, I think Chesterton gives.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Chesterton also had did a lot of different things.
He did.
And
Father Brown's pretty good.
Yeah, well, he was really instrumental. Oh, A.A. Milne,
yes.
Mr. Winnie the Pooh himself. He was a Golden Age mystery writer. He had one mystery, Red Room, and I intend to read it because apparently it's really good. But no one wanted him to write another mystery again, so he didn't.
Why?
I guess his publishers didn't want him writing them, which is sad. He wrote because his dad liked them.
Oh.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. It's really fun when you read their bios and stuff. And actually, they wrote 3 books together. Yeah, I want to say they wrote 3 books together where the first one, I think they all each took a character and they took each other's characters. So like someone else is writing Lord Peter Wimsey, and then someone else is Agatha Christie did not let any of her characters come to play. She was not letting anyone else control Poirot or Miss Marple or anybody. So they would write each other's characters. That was one of the books. Another one, it was like when you do like the when you do stories and you stop at a certain point and then a friend takes over, kind of like they did in Little Women, and then you can completely change.
It's a rigmarole.
It's a rigmarole. Well, the Detection Club did a rigmarole type thing where they would start taking over for each other, and then one of them would ruin where the other one was going, so they had to try to fix it again, reroute, or like change, and they couldn't talk to each other about what they were planning to do.
Right.
So,
well, it's organic that way. It's pretty funny.
Yes, and then the last one is 6 Against a Detective, and they try to create a unsolvable mystery, and then a Scotland Yard detective has to go and say why he does or does not think it's unsolvable.
A real Scotland Yard detective.
A real Scotland Yard detective. So yeah, no, they had a lot of fun. At one point, Agatha Christie was president of their little club, but she didn't want to be alone, so they had to have someone else be detective with her. I mean, president with her because she was too shy. I think mostly they didn't want someone like Dorothy L. Sayers who could be a little bit bossy and overbearing. But yeah, they had a couple people like that. So yeah, what are you looking at?
Trying to see if I crossed that out or not.
Which fish? Which are you trying to see? You're trying. Okay, looks like you're still going on 3.
I'm on 3. I haven't crossed out 2. I have crossed out 2.
It looks like you won. You crossed out 1. Looks like you crossed out 2.
Okay.
So 3 is what you have uncrossed.
I just haven't circled it yet. That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
It's bad when I can read your horrendous note taking.
It's not notes. It's just whether I crossed it out.
You see, we do it very differently. That would drive me insane because that's messy. This is how. That's how she keeps track.
I don't want to hear about messes.
But my organization for my I must have left my
I don't want to hear about messiness from you.
Yeah, I left my notebook on my desk because I was working on this on my desk, and then I grabbed it really quickly. Because I knew I didn't need to mark notes this time around. Okay, usually this is my system. I go this way.
I do that too. I do that.
But
too.
if I can't stand doing it on my patterns, because what if I reuse the pattern?
Just do it over again.
But method.
This is my method.
So that's Grace House.
This is my method. Just because my method is not your method doesn't mean it's not a method.
It's not, it is not.
That sounds like your problem, not mine. I need a pen. Do you have a pen?
Of course I do. Let me take my notebook out again. Here you go.
Thanks.
That fell.
Yeah, I'll get it later.
Thank you.
I dropped my needle minder.
Yeah, some of them are more prolific than others. And if you want something that's a little bit more, she does mystery, but they didn't let her in the detection club. Patricia Wentworth.
Yeah. I like her. She's good.
She is. She can be a little bit more on the romance end of things I've noticed for the few I've read, but she was prolific. She wrote a ton.
You haven't seen her room. What?
Actually, she has, because if she watches my booktube, which she does,
right, that's right.
She sees the entire back.
Her room is a disaster. You can't even walk in there.
I need to move that basket. Although even when I don't have the basket, it's just the way the rollator affects things.
Brittany. Fibbing can get you in the corner, Brittany.
Every time I open up a booktube, I'm like, I'm sorry about the mess. This is just, space. Because even when I was to have the laundry I'll put away and stuff, all my rosary stuff is behind me. And it doesn't matter what I do. That's
not what I'm talking about, mess.
Yeah.
Though. I'm talking about the stuff on your floor and the stuff that's just all over the place.
She wants to come help me organize.
It was sarcasm.
Well, the thing is, I am organized. It's just that,
Brittany, I do like your creative spelling of immaculate.
It is organized. I don't have a lot of space to begin with. And if I don't put my laundry away right away, I don't have a lot of space. Because even if I was to move that my laundry basket,
she can come help me organize.
Oh my gosh. Because we already had to do like a lot of creative organizing just to get my desk in there.
Yeah.
We did measuring,
moving things.
Moving the whole 9 yards. I was really happy when we were able to figure it out.
She has to come and help me organize.
But yeah, Brittany is well aware of because she watches BookTube, she's well aware of what my room looks like behind me. Everyone who watches BookTube is well aware.
Thank you, Rana. I missed that until I would look back up again.
The method to your madness.
Yes. I'm not reading my my glasses, so I have to.
Oh, would you even be able to knit and then read? And
it might be difficult because those particular glasses don't have the bifocals.
Oh, so it is a spelling. It's obsolete. Okay, guys, I should have brought my dictionary.
Yeah.
Because
that's interesting.
Because I have the OED. So
Brittany, that's interesting. I like learning new things.
Me too.
Okay. So immaculate that way is like
that seems like it would be like Old English.
Well, it sounds almost like it would be applied to religion. Like I know Immaculate Conception is an I, but it sounds,
Well, let's see. I have the OED on here, and they're really usually good about
obsolete spelling. That's interesting.
Whoopsie.
You must be old. What is it that you were born old, Brittany? That's a reference.
Okay,
The reference was It's a Wonderful Life.
So, that's interesting. It's not giving me. It has failed me. Let me see if I have another etymology online. Yes, guys, I have multiple word apps on my phone. It keeps skipping C. There we go.
C.
Like when I'm trying to type.
Oh.
It might not cooperate. Okay, so I'm trying
She said she just found on Google.
Yeah, and I was just hoping to see if I could find when the E version
Right.
was exactly,
When
and
it morphed out and why maybe.
yeah, exactly. But
obsolete. Why don't you just put immaculate obsolete or something?
well, it's not going to show up on the app that way.
No, I mean in Google.
Oh, Google. Yeah, I will have to at some point. But yeah,
I need to turn off the fan. I'm getting cold.
Yeah, for sure. It might simply be they just don't have the. Whoopsie.
Oops.
I mean, it's an older word.
It was an obsolete word.
Well, no, I mean the original even.
Oh, the original.
Mid 15th century. But I mean, if it can't be any, that spelling can't be any older than the 15th century. If that's when the word came about. I mean, of course, every word has its its history.
That's really cool. I like learning new things about words. That's cool.
So Brittany has defended her point well. She is nearly throwing back to previous spelling. She's being a traditionalist.
Yes. Traditionalist. That's okay. We love her anyway. We're traditionalists too.
Just not the way we spell immaculate.
No. I never heard that spelling. That's interesting. But it's obsolete, so.
Yeah.
Even if I am older than dirt, that doesn't mean I'm that far back.
Well, you know what it is it took a while for spellings to become universal. So if you look at old medieval type documents, you could have different people spelling the same word in different ways, as long as it was phonetically.
Well, I'm wondering if it's from the French.
It is French. Immaculée.
Yeah.
I'm probably saying it wrong, but
because a lot of the words in French, like and they're spelled with the E.
Well, it wasn't spelled with the
That's good, Brittany. I'm that way too.
From the French, it was Conception Immaculée, but that's an I. But that's for Immaculate Conception for Our Lady, and that's from the late 15th century. But yeah, that you are correct. It is French in origin. I mean, I guess it originally came from Latin, but I mean, it's a Latin language. Yeah, it's a Romance language. But yeah, I bet that's why it's an archaic spelling, because so many people, they would just spell things however the heck they wanted to spell things. They'd punctuate things however the heck they wanted to punctuate. If they punctuated. From what I understand, like when you are a medieval historian and you see like you actually are lucky enough to get a close to original source, a primary source, or even a secondary source that's close enough to time period, like you have to really pay attention and put in your own mental punctuation sometimes. Not to mention they would also go up the side, and she studied French in high school.
That could be.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Yeah, I studied 2 years of French, but first 2 years of Spanish.
Man, it's like it sounds like a modern texting. Yeah, I honestly do think it's similar because, it's not like they had a ton of dictionaries or whatever. You were lucky enough if you knew how to write. But what I thought was always interesting, even though it's later on, is the cross-hatching that people would do in writing. This was brought up at least a couple times in Poirot. So when they were dealing, when they're after one of the British depressions, or maybe it's when they're still conserving paper for the war, you would have older people who would write normal, and then they turn their paper and they would write the other direction over what they had written. It wasn't like you were trying to like make sure your letters matched up or anything. It was
you just wrote over it. It was like writing over printed paper.
So it was called cross hatching, and you just had to be very creative to read those old letters, and usually a spidery handwriting because it's some like old lady who was trying to conserve. Maybe she didn't have a lot of funds, or maybe she had learned thrift from period time, an older time of want or need, or when they were saving paper for the war or whatever.
I remember the first time I received an extra sheet of paper in a letter for the response.
Oh, I've never received
your grandma sent it to me, Grandma Fernandez.
Oh, well, that's actually a really nice idea.
Yeah, she sent me, and I think Aunt Jane used to do that too because she was obviously brought up by Grandma.
Right?
So,
no, that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun. Apparently, if you look at some of the old illuminated texts, sometimes in the margins, there'll be things like where the monks are complaining, like, I've been sitting here all this time and I'm just so thirsty. Just like these random, like, whiny notes in the margins that the monks will be having.
Commentary.
Yes. Brittany says, fun ideas. She and her friend write letters. It would be fun to exchange their stationery.
Yes.
And then you could say, well, you don't have an excuse for not writing back. I gave you the paper.
What? No stamp? No envelope?
I have heard people, now usually this is for business, but they'll send you a stamped envelope with it.
Yep. I send that sometimes when I'm doing paperwork for Davina and I want something back.
Now, I guess if someone really wanted to, they could send 1 page of stationery and a stamped envelope, and just, if you're continually doing that for each other, it evens out. If you're like really want to make sure you get a response, I wouldn't recommend that to Davina, who would be sending out 20 million stamps and
and nobody responds,
and then she get really frustrated.
Yeah. I mean, people do respond,
but it's not in time that she'd want it to be necessary. I have some fun stationery with the idea that, I'll write all these letters, and then reality hits, and I remember that I'm actually me. The letters don't actually get
when
sent.
I do write, I tend to use Brittany's cards.
Yes. Actually, I need to make sure Davina has one address for thank you note, because I don't want to waste one Brittany's cards if I don't actually have an address for said person. Right.
Brittany, we've opened up all this stuff for paper crafts. We want to see your cards and stuff in there if you want to participate.
She had something that I didn't comment on earlier, where I think you said you were getting into watercolor, I think, right, Brittany?
Yeah, with JD.
Which is cool. Watercolor.
That's tough.
Yeah, Dad was always saying that was the harder medium because it's harder to control.
Too much water, it goes all over the place.
Yeah. Whereas with oil, you can always like paint over it.
You can't overlay a watercolor.
Right. I know Davina and I feel like we did some watercolor. I never really got terribly into painting. Davina dabbled a little while.
What's she saying yes to?
Yes, about the watercolor. Well, she might also be saying yes about the paper crafts. Maybe it's yes to all.
All of the above. Let's see what time it is. We're getting close to lunch. We'll get a little bit of time still. I mean, we're doing a nice, good, live stream.
Yeah. I just want to get another drink of tea.
My tea's all gone. Why is the tea gone?
This is good.
I'm tired. I think I just had caffeine.
I'm tired. I'm telling you.
No, you're not. You're tired.
Am I tired or tell you? Brittany finds if she draws the picture first, it seems to help. Yeah. Although, I don't know if they tend to do this much for watercolor. There's something called being painterly. You see this particularly like with oil painters or whatever, where they don't put down first and they just go. And that's usually when you see the less crisp work. Like late Rembrandt, the older he got, the more painterly he got, which is interesting. It's like in his head, he's like, well, I know where I'm going now. But I don't think you see it as much with watercolor, because I think there needs to be a little bit more of a form to watercolor. I can't think of any big artists. I mean, there must be big watercolor artists.
There are. You just don't know who they are.
I think they'd be, particularly for like water scenes, that would be beautiful because the shades you can get.
Well, I think you all those Monets and Manets and things like that. Monet especially.
I was wondering.
He wasn't watercolor, but he could. Those kind of things could be done in watercolor. You have to.
Watercolor, you have to be careful because you could risk you have the potential of over soaking whatever your base medium is. So like if you're using paper and you overdo, if you get a little too excited about your water or overlaying your paint, you could end up with a really wrinkly piece of paper. I've done that. Or whole.
Watercolor to me is probably the hardest, but to do. It's also to be one of the prettiest. You can get those washed
if you do it right, it could be really pretty. I think the closest I came to actually sticking with anything that wasn't just like, pencil was I did pastel for a little while.
I like pastel.
But I don't think I took as much advantage as I could have with the blendability factor of pastel.
It's like the oil pastels. I don't have any real art.
Oil pastels just feel like they're crayons.
No, because they would.
I have them.
I did have some. I like them better because the other ones feel like chalk.
Well, you see, I always wore gloves when I worked on it because I wanted to be able to rub it and also change out my glove in case I wanted to rub different colors.
Well, it's just, and I like the other ones. It was smoother on the feeling on the board, and it was easy to blend, and it was just pretty. It had to be better vibrancy.
And Miranda says never too old to learn. Her sister-in-law in the mid-70s learned oil painting and creating beautiful paint. That's so great.
That's awesome. I have no talent.
I had a brief interest in, but I know myself. Again, I will do a brief period where I'll be doing a decent amount of drawing, and then I lose interest. It's like what people always say, wow, how do you find all the time to knit? It's what you make time for. And I simply don't make the time for the artwork because other things have precedence.
I would love to do artwork, but I did a little bit for a while. I still have my stuff, but again, my focus, you've seen I haven't been doing as much of my knitting even. I've been writing. Writing and reading and stuff.
So. I'm trying to figure out the balance for myself.
Me too.
Because we picked up so much reading for religious stuff this year. So it's taken some of my knitting time. I need to remember I know how to read and knit at the same time.
Sergeant Bunko.
And Bob Ross. I did feel like I know that Bob Ross did watercolor.
Yes. I didn't know that.
Van Gogh did about everything. Actually, if you think about some of his paintings, you can see where he could have been water. I think he did a lot of mediums.
I didn't know Da Vinci did it because it makes sense.
Oh, Da Vinci did everything. Da Vinci, his problem is he didn't stick with anything.
Yeah.
He was the great not finisher.
Well, he was the big idea guy, and then it got to a point where it was like, I'm done.
I wouldn't be shocked if Da Vinci had ADD. Ooh, look at that. Bunnies. I mean, he's brilliant, but he was distractible. I started listening to a biography on him, but I had to stop because you really need to read a Da Vinci biography. You need to see it.
Well, he's got so many interesting drawings and stuff of machines and.
Well, that's what this book was going into, was his notebooks, and they were trying to describe it, but you really just can't. You have to see.
The man described an airplane, and. Absolutely ahead of his time.
Oh, he got himself in trouble with the church a couple times too.
Yeah.
I mean, but
genius, right?
Well, you think oils with Bob Ross? You see, I had always thought watercolor for Bob Ross. Well, actually, you know what?
No, I thought Bob Ross was just regular. Maybe I thought it was acrylics. If he's who I'm thinking he is.
He's the one who has the afro.
Yes, I think
and he always has the easel. I mean, he always has the thing with paints on it. Yeah. And he's you're going to paint these happy little trees. And
Bob Ross and what's his name? King, the one who always gets all the flack, begins with the K. I always think of them as acrylic, even though they're probably not. They're probably oils, but I always think of them as acrylic.
Well, usually when people say, I've heard people say if they're not a painter, I'm no Bob Ross, or who do I look like Bob Ross? Yeah.
Last year.
She was saying last year's when, because she just put year instead.
Excuse me.
I've seen people in YouTube comments who say they will listen to Bob Ross when they want to fall asleep because I guess back when he was running, they did the sound. He does have a very calming voice, although apparently he was a Marine. He was a Marine. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was military. And then he came back and he did art stuff. He had his own he had his paints that he sold. He had this whole thing that he did. I think for a certain generation of people, he probably helped people get an interest in art, which is great. I think we do need more of that. I think we need more of that today.
Yeah, definitely did that.
Some sort of arts, I don't know if they teach in schools anymore overseas, but didn't Valeria say she learned how to knit in school?
Yeah, that's something we didn't. That must have been before my time. They did sewing. We did home ec where you had sewing and cooking and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I think also part of it is cultural because certain cultures have knitting more built into their fabric. We didn't get knitting until later.
No, that's not true. That's not true. I mean, you had the pioneer women who did their own.
Well, partially because we got it. We had to get it from England.
And but we weren't. If you get too much further afield from that, we weren't here.
No, you're right.
With the Irish immigrants came the knitting. With the English immigrants came the knitting. I mean, it's just the knitting and the crocheting.
And there's plenty of arguments about when they came. Both of them came about and all that because they can't quite find definite sources that say one way or another.
It only makes sense. I mean, if you got people coming from the old country from Ireland or the old country from England, even from Holland, I mean, they all knitted and crocheted. or at least
Yeah,
knitted.
well, they definitely had it by the time that you had the Revolutionary War, which would have been after Elizabethan time period, because Elizabeth had to end up creating laws that prevented the use of, I think it limited how much knitting machines could be used, because she didn't want all the work being taken away from
Small
knitters.
business,
Yeah, small. So she put some sort of law in place that, okay, no, you can't be just using these willy-nilly.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so I do know that they would have had to at least have had knitters long enough for that to be, that set in that community. So that would have been long before the Revolutionary War.
I'm getting tired.
Okay, I've been tired, so we should probably.
I'm actually trying not to fall asleep. It's not that you guys are boring, but weather and the fact that I hadn't slept really well for the last couple of nights. I had a good night's sleep last night, but
Well, that's good.
I think I don't remember.
Well, so, not remembering's good.
Yeah, I woke up at around 2:00 with pain, but that's that's about normal. But I'm a little tired, so I don't want to yawn. I don't want to doze off on you. So,
so I think though we've had a good conversation.
It was
I know
fun.
we've been a bit sedated, not sedated.
Sedate?
Sedate, more low energy. No, we are not sedated. I did not sneak something into her tea or mine.
You have a wonderful weekend too. Yeah. Nancy, did you get the notification from Tony about the meeting? So yeah, so we will say goodbye. I'm just waiting to see if Nancy hears this before we.
Yeah, I have to do my. She just responded. Have a great weekend.
Probably okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I need to get my Bible reading in, and then
we have to eat lunch, and I would like to get on the machine, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get on the machine right before.
I'd like to finish my book on the Hittites so I can start Domina.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so we want to wish you all a wonderful, blessed weekend. We're really super glad that you joined us.
Yes,
all of you, and we will probably be podcasting Monday. Probably. Okay. So God bless and have a wonderful weekend.
Bye.
Bye.